Hello and welcome to the Stacking Dinger Show, your home for all things MLB best ball. I'm your host Matthew, aka Sheep, aka Dark Sheep, and we're finally talking about it. The seventh inning stretch. It's been going on for a few weeks now. The in-season Underdog MLB contest. It's here. We have actually about I think 11 or 12 days, depending on lock time, when the contest closes. And someone on here today with me is someone I know who has been drafting, has been hitting this hard. It is our old friend Nez. Nez, how are you this evening?
I am doing well, man. I just took care of a few slow drafts before you brought me on screen because if you are in the slow draft streets, we just transitioned to 4 hour clocks. So things are picking up. I made sure that as of last Monday, I stopped entering slows because I did not want to be caught in 4 hour hell. That's just like where things get really not fun, and like that's not realistic for me to keep up with. So yeah, we are officially 13 days, I believe.
Okay,
If that's day math is weird, when you're
right. Because
doing weeks, but the
it's
30th
eight
next
o'clock
Monday
now.
or 2
It
months.
closes at I think 1 on the 30th. So somebody smarter than us can figure out that math.
Yeah.
Put that into their spreadsheet, Billy. We're missing Billy to put that into a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I
Um,
can't do that.
so have you done mostly slows? Because I have been hitting this contest with slow drafts mostly, just due to my the amount of time I'm trying to spend on devices these days.
Yeah, no, I've been primarily slow drafts. I am in 20 slows right now, and I have 51. It looks like completed. I would say probably half of those were slows. I every now and then, when I have a free
Yeah,
hour, maybe early in the morning, I'll enter a fast. And lately, it's been easier to fill. Been a little tougher early on, but these are just such interesting contests. I think that there's a lot of edge in these contests, but also like things, at least for me, things change very rapidly as far as like who I like, who I'm fading, like because I'm very receptive to recency bias, but I think that's the smart way to be in this because there are just guys that are really buried in ADP that I think deserve to have higher ADPs. So I'm very concentrated in that sense as well. But yeah, slows allow me to kind of adjust, a little slower in like in real time. I kind of like adjust my targets and whatnot, which is nice. I think that's a very underrated benefit of slow drafts is being able to wait for information and get that information, especially in a contest like this.
yeah. That was my one off the top recommendation last week. Aiden asked me, what my top recommendations for the this seventh inning stretch contest was. I was like, wait to put as much volume as you can in at the end because the information we're getting daily on pitching injuries, especially call ups and all that kind of stuff, is really really relevant to this contest because uh, you know when you're talking about the recency bias stuff, like who is hot right now is kind of important in this because the first period of this contest is 5 weeks only, right?
I
It's
think it's
not.
even 4 weeks.
Is it four?
I think it's 4, which like obviously stresses your point even more so
Right.
that
Yeah.
like it's a little sprint. It's an itty bitty sprint.
Right. Yeah.
It-
We're used to thinking about this whole big long season for baseball, and once you break down to 5 weeks, like you can really hit like a 2 week cold stretch with your main stack on a team, and it's dead. There's no recovering.
Oh yeah, I mean it's scary, man. Because like yeah, I feel like there's an edge in the contest, but at the same time, I very much am aware of how unforgiving the first round is. Um, Only 2 out of 12 advance in a 4 week sprint. Like it's as simple as I make this comparison a lot when I talk about this contest. Is like 2 years ago, our good friend Eagles with 3,000 Z's, auto drafted this contest.
Yeah.
Had 60% Nico Horner or something. And Nico Horner was like the highest scoring player in that span. And he advanced like a million teams. He advanced so many teams. And then, the playoffs happened and end up like crushing a lot of those teams. But it's so crazy how like, yeah, I'm extra concentrated right now. And there's an example of how it can be beneficial, but there's the flip side of that is like, if I'm extra concentrated and I'm wrong, man, I could be advancing like single digit percentage teams, out of an expected 16. That's not very fun, but I'm happy about drafting. That's what counts.
Yeah. And, the other side of the coin, you're talking about guys who are probably undervalued, historically good players that have just been bad this year, like, are interesting because going back to the interview I did, you go back on the, this channel, I did interview last year's 7th inning stretch winner, whose name I always forget, but his son is Alec. But he basically their strategy going in, and his dad threw in some teams at the end and won it all, but their strategy like hinged on Willie Adames, who was just not getting the respect last year for the hot season, that he was having. And is there a guy like that immediately that stands out to you that is hitting well that isn't getting respect?
So I was gonna say like Willie Adames again. No. You're good. I was just thinking like, oh well, like maybe Willie Adames comes back to life again, and he gets Raffy Devers in the lineup, and they play at Coors in the finals. But I think the one guy that comes to mind, because I was sleeping on him heavily, and I'm not anymore, is Maikel Garcia for the Royals.
Okay.
Having a really good season, man, and his profile is one that I think was kind of like begging for a breakout. He just does a lot of things well with his approach, and I'm basing this off of like his Savant page, but like he doesn't swing and miss, he doesn't chase, he barrels a lot of baseballs. It was kind of just like a matter of time before he started like putting things together, and he's doing so, and he hasn't risen a ton right now. And I like the fact that he hits behind Bobby Witt, I believe most of the time. Jack Kaggs has been called up as well, so once he gets going, that's just like beneficial for him for the run department, and just extending that lineup and extending games for them. So I've been buying into Maikel, man. He's one of the top scorers right now in our format, and he's having a hell of a season. And I'm a believer. Like everything that I've seen, I don't see anything too fluky.
Yeah, for him, it had always been, getting lifts on the ball. He's always smashed the ball, and it kind of is the breakout here at the start of last year. He looked really good for like a month or so, and then it fell off. And I don't know. I haven't bought in at all this year, but that's interesting. And his name is like, just looking at scoring this year in the main contest, and like looking at scoring so far up to this point, thinking about guys like this. And I don't know if this is played out in the advance rate, but I'm seeing a lot of guys that I consider accumulators just scoring better than I expected this year. I don't know if that is something to do with the run environment of the game right now. We've had some reporting that fly balls are traveling 4 feet less. Like it's like I don't know how, I haven't really fully formed this thought, but you mentioning him made me think of this, because he's the guy who he's not hitting a ton of home runs, but he's scoring well, and from steals also.
Right.
Another guy that comes to mind, well, as I was saying it, someone came to mind and I forgot, but go ahead. Yeah.
But no, you're right. It is interesting that his profile is one that is performing well. I mean, he only has 7 home runs on the season. He's projected to hit, I believe, like 5 more, it looks like. I mean, like he's not expected to hit a lot of home runs, but he is performing well in our contests. And the 15 stolen bases help, and he's had 30. He stole 37 the year prior, but he's still racking up some extra bases. I mean, he's slugging 477 OBP of 370. So like I'll take an 800 hitter where he goes. And I think part of the allure for him, for me, is like there's something about infield in this contest that like I find gross and like kind of difficult to
Sure.
find like good infielders, which like usually is not the case, right? Like when we're drafted preseason, we love infield. It's deep. There's plenty of options. I don't necessarily feel that way right now,
Yeah.
and I think maybe part of that is just like flipping the cards over and realizing that like the picks that we are picking after like round 12 are just not good players. That's we just have the allure of like, what if they are good preseason? But now that the cards are flipped, there's just not a lot of good players back there. Now there are some that I am like targeting. For the most part, though, it is pretty challenging. I find it.
Yeah, I find myself, still not going heavy infield early because of
Mm-hmm.
it, but more middle infielder than 18, 19, 20 infielder. Then
Mm-hmm.
I'm more tacking on outfielders and pitchers. I feel like in those last few rounds at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of really good outfielders late, and there's a handful of infielders late too that I still like. But yeah, I'm it's interesting with Michael. Just speaking of accumulators, just 'cause I got to bring up Jacob Wilson. Um, I don't have a lot of Jacob
But
Wilson. It's unfortunate because that's my guy. But have not taken a lot of him. Just the price is just kind of too crazy for me.
yeah,
I
yeah.
made my bet in the dinger.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, you mean in this contest you haven't got to his. I guess he's about 73 ADP, which let's look at. Let's just pull up. Let's just pull up some ADP here as we're talking about, because like 73 is the same as I guess Matt Chapman, who is currently injured but probably
Mm-hmm.
back by the time this starts. You know, but like Zach Neto, Dansby Swanson, like Junior Caminero is I think, yeah, someone I'm going to take over Wilson in this area. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of guy. But I guess this speaks to what you're saying. This is kind of gross. Like even this sub 100 area of infield is.
Yeah,
I don't love it.
no, I don't like it at all, dude. To be quite honest, like Junior, I would bet by the time contest closes, Junior is like top 50 ADP, just the way that he's playing right now. People, just gravitating to him because like you look at these names and it is not very great. I mean, Brennan Donovan was like an ex-Woba darling, but he hasn't like, I mean, his numbers as far as fantasy points go, like pale in comparison to Michael Garcia, who goes right below him.
Right.
It's not very fun range. So I'm like gravitating to a lot of specific targets for infield. And one of them, I guess, just like while we're looking at this, man, like I pull up Jackson Holiday a lot now
Okay.
that he's like hitting leadoff for Baltimore. Baltimore's getting healthier. Home park for lefties is just, one of the best in baseball right now. So he's one that has my attention quite a bit. Like I pull him up no problem. Like I don't really give a whole lot of credence to ADP in this contest right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there. Like, I think Gleyber Torres if we're in this range, is a sneaky. Again, he's only got 4 stolen bases and he's got 7 home runs, but he's just scoring points,
Right.
and he's on a good team. I mean, they're hitting a little road bump now, but that's more pitching related. So like, I don't know. But like
He's a sneaky like good hitter right now. Like I wouldn't have guessed he's a 131 WRC plus guy right
yeah,
now. I would not have guessed that.
and you look here. Let's. I'm gonna pull it up here just because I was last week. I spent some time looking at looking at X stats and looking at some of the over on Baseball Savant and looking at some of the biggest biggest outliers in terms of differences between their actual stats and X stats. And
Mm-hmm.
we get down to here, and he's one of the leaders in like all the categories that have expected batting average, expected slugging, expected WOBA. That it should be even better than what we're seeing right now. So he was a name that stood out to me when I did that exercise last week.
Yeah, I like that shout. I mean, admittedly, I haven't been taking a ton of Glaber, but this is this has changed my mind for sure. I mean, I could use some fresh blood in my infield because, like I said, man, I'm pretty concentrated. So I like that.
Yeah, but I mean, you just kind of scroll here. You're hoping Max Muncy has sent adding glasses. But guys like him, they're not playing every day. A lot of these guys that we're getting uh, aren't playing every day either. Is at the end of this contest in the ADP.
There's a lot of injured guys that are still like sitting really high up in here. But yeah, as far as like infield goes, yeah, it's been difficult for me, to just plainly said.
Yeah.
Just like a scroll down target though, Nick Kurtz for the A's though, still like really cheap. He's just been like a safe haven for me. ADP 180, but I'll take him as early as like 170, just so I can be assured that I grab him because yeah, I think he's like way better than this ADP.
Okay, that's a good shout. I think I grabbed him once today on a slow because I saw the home run last night. The walk off home run last time. I was like, oh yeah, Nick Kurtz.
Mm-hmm.
That's I'll be honest. Not having been totally locked in on daily baseball stuff this year, I'm feeling a bit behind on this contest because there's a lot of times like, oh yeah, that guy exists, and to switch to a different position, our cover guy here, the guy who I should have been grabbing before his ADP jumped up because I knew he was on the horizon was Jacob Mizrowski, for the Brewers. Like I knew he was coming, and I knew like this year he's brought down the walks at AAA, and like it was only a matter of time. And now he has a 80 ADP of 187, but I don't think he goes there very often. I think he's going to be climbing up.
Big time climbing.
We'll
Hell of a debut for him.
Yeah, we'll see what he does tomorrow against the Cubs. That might have a lot to say. Like if he goes out and takes on a nasty Cubs lineup, then people are going to be on him. The one, though I do have a worry that even in this contest, like I don't know how useful at the end of the playoffs he's going to be. He's sitting at about 70 innings pitched between his AAA starts and the one, or he. I think it's let's look.
Yep, it's 68 right now.
Yeah, and he'll pitch probably 2 more times before the contest opens. Last year he pitched 100, so there's a chance that by the time the end of these playoffs go, the Brewers are really managing him. I don't know what their plan is for him,
right?
And just being such a huge asset in the future, I don't know that the Brewers are not a team to ever push it all in a year. So I do wonder if we'll see a stint back at AAA at some point. Hopefully he's just good enough that they can't do that. But
yeah, I'm not sure they can put the toothpaste back in the tube with him. Like he looked incredible in his debut. And I was a little worried. Like I kind of stopped drafting him because I saw him, kind of tweak his ankle in his first start there, and I was like, "Oh my god, you got to be kidding me!" But looks like he's cleared to throw against the Cubs, like you said.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. He's definitely one that that I'm bringing back into my rotations for sure.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't have. I still have this question about walks, just because he has such a history of walks in the minors, like before the season. If basically, to me, it was like if he didn't improve there this year, like he's on the way to closer status more than a starter, just based on how bad it had been. But he's figured it out. He did have 4 walks in that first debut, which is not exactly what you want to see, but well, so I do have my pessimistic fan concerns, but right now he's a great pick, I think, at 187.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Since we're talking about the cover boy, we'll hit up the other cover boy. So you can tell me what the latest Bubba Chandler news / misinformation is that is out there.
I mean,
when we're gonna see him,
it's just ridiculous that he is not up yet. I still feel confident that he will get called up before the contest starts. It wouldn't make sense that he wouldn't. He's doing everything right. There's nothing more that he needs to prove in AAA. His last outing, he gave up an earned run on 0 hits. So he and it was just a really short outing for him, but like the K stuff is playing extremely well. The walks are like, not great right now. He's like at a 5 per 9, but ERA minuscule right now. I mean, he's just like, he looks the part, man. He looks really nasty. It's just the Pirates doing Pirates stuff, and it's frustrating. But I think I've single-handedly brought his ADP into the 160s just because I was just like drafting this guy nonstop because I thought, I wanted to get out ahead of the call up, and we're still waiting. We're still waiting for the call up, and it's just insane, man. But I do feel confident that we will see him up before the contest starts, and at worst, I think we could see him the day the contest begins in a homestand against the Cardinals on that Monday. Okay. It would shock me if he's not. Like I'd be baffled, even for the Pirates stand. For the Pirates, it'd be insane if they don't call him up by then.
Yeah, and this number here, this 120 last year, like we don't have that worry. Well, right. I mean, other than them not being really competitive, but at this point, the Pirates pitching is the attraction to come to games. So if they want to sell tickets, they're gonna have these guys going back to back.
They'll milk it too. Like this, that's all the fans really have are good prospects. So, I mean, I think this stuff will play. He's got electric stuff. So I'm taking a bunch of them. I'm just holding out that he will be called up. But I would not be surprised if his ADP starts to fall as I pump the brakes on drafting him.
Okay. I think there's while we're on pitching here. Maybe we'll start talking about the first couple of rounds, but we're just kind of naming some names here. A guy that I know for the Badge Bros, I didn't even introduce you and other things you're doing. So yeah, I'm out of practice.
People know.
People know who Nez is. But if you're a YouTube Badge Bros member, about a week or so, you sent out your just some basic ranks for this contest to get people rolling on some drafts, and I DM'd you. What are you doing to my Robbie Ray ADP? You had him at that point. He was about was he still in the hundreds? I don't know. No, he was in the upper 90s or something. And yeah, you have him like a couple rounds earlier, and I had been also grabbing him as much as possible. So I was drafting him and not helping his ADP stay down, but this guy has been just back to his old form this year.
He's looked awesome. He's in a good park, and even when he's not in his home park, he's been pitching really well. And the big thing for me is like there's so many injured pitchers that go ahead of him, and I've just simply like replaced with Robbie Ray and Framber Valdez, like with guys that I think that they should be like replacing, or just like outperforming. Like for example, Hunter Green up here, he's in the middle of getting a second opinion, and he's still, okay, now he's going to Arizona for that. I missed that, but
still, it's not been what we wanted from him this year.
even still, right? And he's sitting at ADP 63. So I'm like, all right, let me just like swap those guys around because like I think Robbie Ray is just you mentioned it with the ranks. I've got a really strong rank on him and Valdez each in this contest right now. Just guys that are way undervalued.
Yeah, I'm pretty condensed at pitcher overall. Just like I'm still in Spencer Strider believe mode. I
He
don't
looked good
know.
against the Rockies.
Yeah, but you can look good against the Rockies.
That's very true.
I'm hoping that's not a fluke, but his velo is up again. The analysis on him is that his arm slot has changed. There's some good. I think Fangraphs had some stuff, and a bunch of people online are just trying to figure out if it's real or not. Where he's at. The velo's been mostly down, and the stuff has not been the same. On his main pitches, the fastball has not been the same. So I'm buying in again, like I did in the main contest. Just hoping that a smart pitcher like him can figure out what he needs to do to get stuff right. But could be a big pitfall in my condensed rosters on this one.
I think he's a fine concentrated bet though. That like guy like him, coming off Tommy John is due for a slow ramp up. Like I don't think that's crazy to bet on.
Yeah, his teammate Spencer Schwellenbach have also been grabbing a lot just because he's looked a lot better or a lot. He's looked really good. I still had questions going into this year, but
So did I.
I was wrong, but.
Me too.
And the other guy I'm grabbing a lot is Christopher Sanchez here at 115. You don't usually have to reach on him. He's just kind of sitting there for me often.
Dude, I know Christopher Sanchez is just a staple for me at that pick, like 120, where he tends to go. I take a lot of him. Just surprised that he doesn't go higher. To me, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm like you though, man. I am also like very, very concentrated at pitching right now, and it's kind of hard to get an accurate portrayal of like my pitching exposures because I saw 20 slow drafts going, but I know I know good and damn well that I am mega concentrated and Sanchez and Robbie Ray are two of my highest. In that. The dogs agree.
Spots.
There's a weird pitcher that I've been taking a lot of. David Peterson. Just like been a really good pitcher for the Mets, and they just lost Senga, who like I unfortunately had a lot of, and Miguel, who I also had a lot of. But now that Peterson's spot in the rotation seems to be like really solidified because of those, I am gonna continue taking him. He's not sexy, but his ADP I think is like just right, especially for when I'm like trying to find like SP 6 or 7 in a rotation.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot. I'm not concentrated at the end. I'm just kind of throwing names at the wall at the end right now for pitchers. He's not one I've got to, but like you said, the news on Miguel today was that he's supposed to be a minimum stay guy, but you never know with a pitcher.
Yeah,
that's interesting name. The other guy I have a ton of is Mackenzie Gore, who is a little bit higher than what we're talking about, but he's just been awesome this year, and I see no reason why that he shouldn't. Like he's in the tier of guys that I think he's going, but I'm just grabbing him a lot because.
Oh yeah, I have a ton of Mackenzie Gore as well. I'm at 31% Mackenzie Gore. I think very, very live to lead the league in strikeouts when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and let's go back down here to the end. I mean, there's guys like, I guess we should talk about Merrill Kelly. When I started looking at data for this contest, and really looking at advance rate, I did not realize how important Merrill Kelly has been to the regular season contest. It did not even cross my radar that he was doing well in regular pitching, much less that he was doing well for us in fantasy. And I completely faded him this year.
Yeah, I faded Merrill Kelly. I still am, to be honest. But his ADP is 159. It's not terrible. I will say his advance rates are like very much tied to the guy who is leading our contest in advance rates because he has like 70% Merrill Kelly. So they're just on a lot of his teams that are also like advancing. He went like uber concentrated, but no, he's not. He definitely represents like a fine pick. And right now, like for pitching, it's like, are you injured or are you not? Is really kind of like where things begin for me, because there are just so many guys that are banged up right now, or guys that are just not having good seasons that are costing way more capital than I'm comfortable spending.
Like taking Merrill Kelly over Bailey Ober right now is a no-brainer, or even
absolutely.
Aaron Nola, who's has no real timetable to return. And
he gets picked every time. He gets picked every single draft. Like it's crazy to me.
Blake Snell, again, don't really have a timetable on him. It's bad when Chris Bassett is looking good at 151.
Yeah, dude, everything that you're saying right now, this is like, I have been taking like some pitching early that, I'm not necessarily like holding a big bag of Skeens or Skewball, but man, like third round pitching on, like I spend a lot of capital at pitching because I know how gross things get and how bad things get. Time will tell if that's the right move or not, but like, I love Logan Webb, but he's been a tougher click for me just because he's like the most expensive, and I think Hunter Brown and Mackenzie Gore are just, and even Sale. The guys below him, I think, are just like the same. So it's kind of tough to take him, but he's not to discredit his awesome season.
Yeah, I still maybe mistakenly, these three guys and wrote, I think more K upside per game than Logan Webb, although Logan Webb has looked better than we expect in that department this year.
Yeah, which is like shocking. But just these like guys, I am like hammering hammering that range of pitching, taking a break and then hammering again once we get to like Valdez and Robbie Ray, and I'm trying to have generally like 4 pitchers by round like maybe 12, maybe even before then. Like that's just like how I feel the most comfortable.
Yeah. I've noticed a lot of my builds are getting to 4-4-4 at some point, kind of evening out at that point of the draft. So yeah, I'm with you there. I've grabbed a couple of Skeens shares just because why not? But basically, starting at Crochet, Yamamoto, any of these guys, like I'm comfortable starting with 2 of these guys till we get down to like Hunter Green. Well, even Strider. I'm not always doing it. Sometimes I'm starting with a Strider or a DeGrom or a Valdez or one of these guys, and then doing more what we're used to doing in season long. But yeah,
right.
And like you said, it's are you healthy or not? And these guys are healthy right now and pitching well. And
we know how quickly that can change. But
for the most part, these guys are also on good offenses too.
That helps. That's a big help. Obviously that's a downside with, taking somebody like Skeens and Gore. These guys, the win equity for them is not very high, but K upside, innings, and quality start equity is there though.
Yeah. Any other, I guess, late guys that you want to shout out? I guess
Um,
David Pearson's a good one.
I of course take Mitch Keller. He's
Yeah,
he just been racking up quality starts down here. Again, not a lot of win equity with Mitch Keller, but he is tacking on quality starts, by the handful, and just at this ADP, I think it's totally fine to take somebody like that who is just delivering you quality starts for essentially free.
yeah. The opposite side, I'm taking Kikuchi, hoping this
Hmm.
last 10 strikeout game kind of turns his season around. But
Yeah.
at the end here, like those two guys are different archetypes, but um, they're healthy, and I'm just throwing them on.
Hmm.
Um, like I've done a Zach Eflin or two, even
Yep.
though he's not been good, but he's healthy. Uh,
Yeah.
I think Hayden Birdsong is a good person to shout out with the recent news with Kyle Harrison going away.
Hmm.
Uh, that kind of clears up, and not that he had, you know, not that he has been behind Harrison at all this year. Birdsong is kind of ahead of him in stuff, but just any kind of concern there of being overtaken goes away.
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely
that's
solidified him for
interesting.
sure. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's in a good park, pretty decent offense. Um, and even with the return of Verlander, that doesn't he's fine in that
Yeah.
regard. Like he's not going anywhere in the rotation. So that's a good one. That's a pretty good shout with
Yeah.
Birdsong.
And I'll say that who knows how long Verlander will be even around.
True, very true.
The way he's going. But after that, I mean, you start kind of getting gross here. I'm still grabbing a little bit of Brandon Woodruff, even though I don't know when he'll be back. But I
That
can't
was
leave
so
that alone.
unfortunate.
Like, well, I still don't. I'm still concerned. Kind of the stuff that's coming out around the injuries. Also, just like I didn't have a ton of confidence that once he came up and returned from stuff that he was going to be great this year. So
Hmm.
that's more my concern now. But because he's even said after this last, taking the comebacker off of his arm, he said it helped him reset a few things mechanically. Even so, it didn't even seem like he was fully right. Just they were just kind of moving him along because they were saying he's going to come because there's like they kind of had to, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There are like healthy names down here that are like accumulating innings, and to do what you're doing and mixing and matching, I think makes sense, right? Like just try to you know luck out in as many two-start weeks as possible, because even in the regular season, getting a two-start week will be extremely valuable.
Like he's not. Maybe I should learn my lesson not take injured pitchers, but Spencer Arrighetti is not too far away from returning in this contest. Uh, but yeah, you get down here, it's hard down here to scroll. You're taking
Hmm.
you're taking big bets like I don't think I've even scrolled this far, to be honest. It gets pretty gross down here.
Yep. No, this is no man's land for sure.
I might have a Jose Quintana share just because
That
he's
that
going to pitch, but
yeah.
I mean, yeah, we've like you said earlier, the cards have been flipped up, and we kind of know who's who this year.
Hmm.
So it's pretty hard to go super deep. And I don't know, Andrew Painter's down there. I have grabbed him. I don't know if you have any other potential prospects. I'm sure the prospect hounds out there will have a few more names to throw out that might come up during this contest. But
Yeah, the one that I've been like, mega wish casting, but man, if he comes up, it'll be fun, is Chase Burns for the
okay,
Reds. He's in AAA now. He's only made one start, but it was certainly a hell of a start. It was five and a third innings, and 7 Ks and 2 earned runs, and his stuff is just really elite. He's their number one prospect. So, there's a chance that we get him up soon because like he's just ready. He's just that good. Like he really does not need that much more time. It's just like, will they rush him for what purpose? Is definitely a thin bet, but man, he's just too exciting for me to not like take here and there because if he does come up, that would be awesome.
Okay, that's an interesting name. I will have to grab one or two because they have college stats here. He pitched 100 innings at Wake Forest last year, so it's not like he's coming out high school and they're still stretching him out.
Yeah, and another feather in his cap, man. I mean, he had 4 walks in his first AAA start, but I say that because it's so unlike him. In these other starts, man, 7 innings, no walks, 6 innings, 1 walk, 5-0 walks, 5 innings, 1 walk. Like he just does not walk guys as either, like so he's just like the command is there, the stuff is there. I don't know, man. Let the kid pitch.
Yeah,
let the kid pitch.
Do they
he's
want
extremely good.
Okay, that's an interesting name. Okay, so if you're feeling it, you can go there. I think let's jump over to outfield here. I think we got to hit on a few names at the top here. The first name, maybe not what you're thinking, is actually Ohtani. Now that he is back pitching, I think he's pretty clearly number 2. I saw somebody take him number 1 the other day. And I think he's, I'm not going to drop him below 2, but you got to take Aaron Judge over him. But I think, I do think he starts to lose, some hitting stats this year as he ramps up. I going into the season, I thought September we'd be seeing him do this, and that he'd be doing this sort of like 1, 2, 3 inning type of thing in the playoffs for them, but. They kind of need him. So I don't know if he decided that it was time to pitch or if they decide, whatever the case is, it's happening earlier than I expected. And I think that will eat into a small sliver of his hitting value.
It does. It definitely does. I mean, it's just the facts. And he's only going to get ramped up further. Like right now they are kind of treating him as an opener, which I think is smart. Like that's a pretty cool way to use him for the moment. But yeah, I mean, I don't need a whole lot of convincing also to like take Judge 1, but
right. I just say it because I saw somebody do it. Like
no. I have a lot of Judge at 1 from the Dinger, so I was taking Shohei at 1 a couple times in this contest. On top of the fact that I think the Dodgers have the better lineup, so there's just a better team around him. But yeah, Judge's season right now is one for the record books. But yeah, outfield is really interesting, man. Just in general, like after Ohtani, you can really do a lot of different things. Now, I think that the thing to do is take Ronald Acuna after Ohtani, but like there's like 4 acceptable answers there, I think.
Yeah. I was a full fade on Acuna, and I think people sitting with advancing Acuna teams right now are salivating at the prospect because he is not going to advance many, especially with the just like dire state of the Atlanta offense and how many rosters he's sitting out there stacked with just underperforming stacks.
Right.
So even if he continues getting hot continues this hot streak up until the close of the regular contest, it's going to be hard for him to even just advance any teams the way people played him with the rest of the team.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be difficult, but yeah, like you said, man, he looks awesome right now. Like his exit velo is indicating that he's like fully healthy, maybe even stronger than he has been before. We're definitely not getting stolen bases from him, but that doesn't even matter right now. Like he's the pace he is on right now, like is just crazy. So he's my 3rd overall pick right now. But like, if the Atlanta offense, I had more confidence in it, I would have to think about taking him too. Like
Okay.
I would have to, but I'm not. But I would think about it because, like, dude,
You're thinking about thinking about it.
That's right. That's right. I'm always overthinking.
But yeah, Tucker, Carroll, Soto. You know, the talk on Soto is how he's been quote unquote bad,
Oh,
but he's not been bad. And when I was doing the looking at the X stats exercise, like he should be doing better than he should be doing the superstar stuff that we expect based on the X stats. So
yeah, he has one of the highest rolling WRC pluses right now. 15 game rolling average. It's 235. Just absurd. Absolutely absurd. Rolling ISO is like damn near 400. Rolling OBP is 500. He was like the unluckiest hitter in baseball for a while, and still is if you compile it. And like, yeah, he's coming alive in a major way. Awesome lineup around him. He's I've taken him 4.
yeah,
That I think he's number 4 for me right now.
yeah. And if you want to try and put him with Pete, you almost kind of have to do that and hope Pete falls, but that's not really happening. Yeah, Kyle Schwarber, I have a hard time to click, but we got to skip down to this. These guys at the turn. We got to skip down to James Wood, Tatis. I'm getting a lot of back end pits, and I'm getting a lot of Tatis, but James Wood, Pete Crow Armstrong, the two breakout rookies. I guess James Wood isn't really a rookie, but Pete Crow, I don't know if they're technically anyway. Whatever their classification is, these guys have broke out this year.
Oh, in a big way. Yeah, I'm not drafting a ton of Pete Crow Armstrong. I think this dude just got off to an unbelievably hot stretch and plays on a good offense. So that it just kind of compiles. But I'm gonna have a pretty strong fade on him in the 7th stretch. God help me, but I do like James Wood, and I'm going to continue to take James Wood a ton. He's just the real deal, dude. He does everything you want for our contest, and not a bad lineup around him. It could be better, but it's not the worst. Yeah, I'm a big James Wood guy. Are you taking him?
Yeah, I'm taking both those guys, but not like extreme amounts. Just I'm taking Tatis a lot more. I'm not necessarily taking them every time here. I think O'Neal Cruz is still a great pick here. I'm taking some Jarren Duran if I want to build a little Boston group. I'm taking the 2 Jacksons still, and Suzuki and Brent Rooker. Like I'm ending up with 2 of a lot of this group. Tatis down to Rooker and even some Teoscar. So that's kind of a lot of what I'm getting at the back end, and just sort of mixing up the combinations of these guys.
Yeah. I just think it's interesting, man. Like when you scroll down, I mean, you don't have to go far, but just like down to like picks, even like pick 60, all these outfielders are just like seem like great picks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of eyesores in the outfield category. Jordan, Stan,
Yeah,
I don't even have him ranked.
No, you can't take him right now. I'm just not.
You can't.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
it's not good.
This group, yeah. And even Ian Happ, I'm a little bit out on. I think he's kind of being propped up by the team. This group.
These are where the best hitters are. I mean, It wasn't always like that. It was more so positional scarcity with the outfield, but now it's like positional scarcity, and these are like the best clicks all combined right now.
Yeah, I agree. This San Francisco group, Yelich and Churio earlier to both of those combinations I like to get. I'm probably fading Mike Trout more than I should be, but I just think he's still going to have some ups and downs this season. And
Yeah.
Taylor Ward, Buxton, Nootbaar, I've backed off on just because how cold he is right now. But even that, like, I think if you want to build a Nootbaar, Donovan, Contreras type of 3-man, or if you want to throw in some of the other guys around it, that offense is doing better than we expected.
Yeah, no, they are, and I think that they're pretty pesky and for real. I did want to make like a macro point and back to you mentioned you take Tatis a lot, so do I, and I take a lot of Padres in general just because they're obviously like not a bad offense at all, and their playoff schedule in the finals is elite. They're at Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
For the first week of a point accumulation, and then the next week they get Colorado again at home, which their home park isn't great, but Colorado pitching is phenomenal to hit against. So that is about as good as it gets for for a playoff schedule. They also they're also in Baltimore, which has been an awesome play. Or no, they have Baltimore at home. I apologize.
Okay. I was going to say that's a weird road trip if they're going Colorado to Baltimore back home.
No, you're right. Yeah, they have three series at home, one in Colorado. But yeah, that the Giants are the other team that play in Colorado during the finals.
Okay. Yeah, and the Padres, Machado's back on his villain arc this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's out there. A great pick in this contest.
Looks great. Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to scroll down here and shout out some names. I'll shout out Andy Paez, who's just turned into an everyday. I mean, he's not playing every day, but mostly every day, and he's one of the better hitters that's come out of the actual Dodgers development. It seems like they actually churn someone out.
He's more or less playing every day though.
Is he okay?
Yeah, I mean, the ADP is sort of one where it's like, it's Andy Pages. Do we believe this? And he does have that, like, the idea that he is still platooning. There's only 4 games where he hasn't played.
Okay.
So he looks great, man. He's slugging 483, but the best part about it is he plays on the Dodgers. So there's just run scoring opportunities every time he's at the plate or when he's on base. Still undervalued. He's still undervalued.
Yeah. I think Luis Robert is still interesting click that I can't pick. Like, no there's way, still is he going to get on another team this year and wake up? But just the song with injury, minor stuff, like I can't do it.
No, he's in the middle of a quote unquote hot stretch where his rolling WRC plus, it was like up to 80 at one point. His season long WRC plus 66. He's slugging 311. Like, I don't know if this is just like what playing in the South Side does to someone, but yeah, he's unclickable for me, man. Even at pick 100, like, and even if he gets traded, I'm way out. I'm way out.
Yeah. So this is actually a tough group. Now that we talked about the early guys that we're feeling good about because they are playing well, and now it starts to get gross.
Yeah.
I'm skipping this like group entirely. Speaking of abysmal, Michael Harris has been terrible.
I know.
I have George Springer's been kind of quietly accumulating this year, and I still take a lot of second pick Vlad because he has the ability to just torch 4 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever, and then I don't know where he is on injury right now, but way late.
It's not good. Baseball activities.
Okay. But Varsho was showing signs of life when he was playing. So a lot of my early drafts had Vlad and Varsho, and Springer was a good addition there.
Yeah, he was. I mean, the Toronto Blue Jays just a kind of an underrated offense right now. It is like weird because like Vlad is still like underperforming, but like Bichette bounce back season, Springer bounce back season, and then Addison Barker, breakout right now.
Yeah.
So they're interesting for sure.
We missed him when we were talking about late infielders. Yeah,
We
Barger
did.
was another guy that was in this group, and like putting Barger and Varsho together was something I was doing a lot. But I'm still grabbing Barger by himself too.
Yeah.
But he is a guy that's he's not playing every day, but it seems like the breakout is there. And I've said this before on other guys, but when the Bat X has a rookie with a projection of a WRC plus of 110, you listen, because the guys that it picks or that it likes that earlier in their career, there's some signal there.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think that's a really good point.
And then let's get back here. Yeah. And then, from there, I'm mixing and matching. I think I'm buying Gavin Sheets, but again, he's a platoon risk, but I'm buying in on him when we're talking about the Padres. He's a guy this year that has had week-long like fire stretches that I think is good in this sort of contest.
Yeah, he's playing. I mean, he's always been like a decent hitter, and he's having a good season, and on the Padres, and it's kind of been like this is like a way old. This is such a dumb comp, dude. But like he's kind of like their Jason Hayward, like their lefty, like they're like little lefty outfielder that they just like throw in.
They do have Jason Hayward on the team.
Is that why? That's why I said that. Okay,
right now
Jason Hayward exists. Well, he's the better Jason Hayward. The better lefty.
I mean, I think Hayward's been hurt a bunch, but
yeah. I mean, dude, I'll even take a little Sal Frelick. Sal Frelick not having a bad year, just an accumulator here.
Mean, he's leading off now occasionally. Like he's overtaken Turang in that leadoff spot. Yeah.
And then while we're down here too, and speaking of guys that I draft a lot, Matt Wallner at ADP 190, I'm taking a ton of.
Yeah. I think I also just accidentally grab him a lot. Not accidentally, but just like looking through these names, I'm like, oh yeah, Matt Wallner. Okay, yeah. I grabbed my first share of Stanton. I don't love that. I still think he's a guy that could easily fall apart.
I've been drafting him a little bit as well.
Okay. But, in addition to Varsho, Joe Adell is the other guy down here that I'm just happy to put as my sixth outfielder.
Yeah.
Wrap it up just because.
Yep. I've also been taking him. This hot stretch is definitely helpful, but, it could be the start of like something big for him to maintain and, at least like maintain the playing time. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, in general, these guys down here, you're rolling the dice on like all of them. So like fitting them in with your stacks, like Max Kepler with a Philly stack is really interesting.
Yeah,
he's got as many home runs as Bryce Harper this year, even though you don't hear too much about him. And guy's not playing every day, so he's not great for the contest, but you still need outfielders.
Yeah, I like doing. Like we touched on early, we kind of had to move on, for good reason. But like that early outfield pocket, I think is great. And then I like this back end of outfield.
Okay,
I like starting off like 4 early and then finishing off with like maybe 2 or 3 late. You mentioned Kepler and Adele. I'll throw out Jesus Sanchez for Miami. Power hitter, low key, like kind of a fun little lineup going right now with him. Stowers, Augustine Ramirez, like not a bad little trio in Miami there. And Sanchez has some power, so he's fun to get to.
I assume the Chase the Water ADP is all you're doing still.
It is. It 100% is. I mean, he's doing what Chase the Water does in the minors right now, striking out 5% less of the time than he walks, which is just hilarious. I believe the disparity. Yep. He's walking 20% of the time, just like showing off, striking out 15%, slugging 400. I think you're going to see him up pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I take him a ton.
Okay. I've taken a little Zach McKinstry. Just the guy
he's
that's
good.
playing a bunch and accumulating points again. After that, it gets pretty gross. I don't know how deep, if you've got a deep call, but I don't at this point.
No, I think DeLauder is like easily the deepest call that I've had to make. Just because at that point, I don't need to go deeper than that. He's always there for me when I want to take him. And I'm usually, like you said, kind of like doing maybe some pitcher, with my last few picks as well, just like trying to get somebody who's going to start twice in a week, or hopefully starts twice in a week for me.
Yeah. Evan Carter had this hot, week that maybe seems like he's putting something together with. So there is this interesting Texas sort of ruined right now because Josh Smith just had a hammy pop up.
Yeah, I saw that.
There's this interesting, if you want to, I mean, Corey Seager's been abysmal.
I know
this year, but if you want to, I mean, same with Adolis Garcia, but if you want to project this team turning around, putting it together, you can put Evan Carter, Jake Berger, Josh Smith late onto one or two of these guys earlier. That it's an interesting team that I'm not doing, but I'm worried about. Well, partially because I was pretty off of Texas this year, and I feel like I got something right, and I'm worried about like we're coming up on halfway of the season, and I'm worried that where I thought I got something right is going to be completely wrong by the time the season's end.
I know, especially because like right now too, they like the Rangers are just like playing really good ball, so it is scary. I'm like, wow, is it Garcia about to wake up? Because that would just be so annoying. I've been fading the hell out of him in this contest, and
and Seager, he's a guy that I hate fading, but I have so far.
I know.
But yeah, so there's this contest is just fun, especially just for those of us that just like love baseball. Like this, just putting these teams together is still just a blast for me. I don't feel any confidence in anything that I'm doing. I'll be honest in this contest, but
I mean, it's hard to like I'm having fun, and like while I do have confidence that like I think that I am drafting good teams, I obviously don't have confidence that like I know these guys are going to go off in the 4-week stretch. I am well aware that is I am a victim to circumstance there.
Yeah. So if you're watching and you haven't drafted, go get out there. Now's the time to get into this contest. It's 45% full. The way that this contest usually goes is there's usually some rake off or free rake. But it doesn't quite fill usually. Hopefully it does. I'm never rooting for a contest to not fill just because, I mean, as fantasy players, we're happy when it doesn't fill. We get a little extra value, but as, underdog supporters, we kind of cry a little bit too. So
underdog supporters, we would enjoy a full contest. I will say, I think it's going to fill. I think it's on a pretty good pace personally, but time will tell.
And we just want the bigger contest for next year. That's really
that's it. Yeah. That's our main goal. Continue to make it bigger.
All right. So Nez, Badge Bros, check him out. You know him.
Thank you,
love him. Thanks for joining me here on the Stacking Dingers show. Everybody get out there, draft this contest, and let's enjoy this period of baseball.